I didn't ask for a whole lot for Christmas this year, but somehow or another, my ultralight kit just got so much better. If you're a backpacker, you know that Christmas hits different. Instead of standard clothes, socks, and cologne, it's always gear that we're asking for. And I thought it'd be fun to share with you guys some of the scores that I got this year, because I got a few things this year that I'm genuinely excited to get out on the trail with. Some of them are practical, some of them are ultralight. And all of it is stuff that I will actually use. All right, so let's just pick something at random here. So one of the first things here that I got was this nice cork massage ball. Now, if you're like me and you're over 40 and you love to get out on the trail a lot, whether that's running, trail running, fast packing, backpacking, whatever it is, you're going to have aches and pains. I mean, I spend more days and more afternoons these days on the foam roller at home than I do anything else. And so whenever I go out on a longer trip, I've always said that I wanted something that was lightweight enough that I didn't mind taking it, but that I could use to roll out some of those muscles and issues that I would have in camp. And so this thing I'm super excited about. It only weighs 3 ounces, but it's still pretty big. I mean, this thing I think is like 3 inches in diameter. This thing was going to do really well at being able to roll out my hips, my feet, or any of those type of things, or even, try to get down those legs a little bit, after a good long day of being out on the trail. So super excited about getting that. Next is my new pillow. This here is the Big Sky International Ultralight Air Pillow. I've been eyeing on this thing, and I've been trying to decide whether or not I really wanted to buy it, because I have an air pillow already. I've got a couple air pillows actually already, and you guys have seen the one in my layout, because I've done a couple videos here recently about it. And it weighs, it's a cheapo Amazon one, and I think it weighs a little over 3 ounces on that. But this bad boy here has been making a lot of attention on a lot of videos, and it's gotten my attention here lately. Because this thing is actually way bigger than my other air pillow that I have. So we're going to blow it up and show you. Look at that big bad boy. This thing is big, and it even comes with a little string here that I can tie to my mat for that, which I'm going to eventually, I'll decide, how long do I need to, have it to be, and then, do I want to cut off any extra, because it looks like they gave you a good bit depending on what size mats you guys will use. But I typically use a mummy pad a lot of times on mine, so I won't need one super as long as this, I would imagine. So I will end up figuring out what that will look like on there and then cutting off the rest. But even with that, even with this longer piece on here, this thing only weighs 1.6 ounces. So I'm really looking forward to pairing this with my buff. So I'll take and put the buff over it to make as a pillowcase. And then I can always stuff in, if I want a little extra height or even comfort on it, I can stuff in some extra, like a fleece or a puffy or something like that underneath the buff to beat on the top to make that. But this thing is going to be awesome. I am so excited. This is another one of those pieces of gear that I recently did my 2026 fast packing ultralight loadout for you guys that I'm going to be using here in a couple weeks, and did not know that I was going to be getting a couple of these things, which are actually going to go into that loadout for that trip. So looking forward to really getting to use this guy. All right, let's go next. So next, I got myself another pair of gloves. These are some good wool gloves. The pair that I had before were starting to see some better days. They had some holes in them. I use these a lot for when I go winter camping a lot of times, to be able to get out and have, when you're out in the mountains and stuff and you got some colder temperatures during the winter, and I really want to be able to just keep my hands good and warm. I just needed another good pair of gloves. So nothing fancy on these. These are just a pair of 3Ms that we got off of Amazon. But looking forward to having these to replace the pair with all the holes in them that I had before. All right, let's see next. This little guy. I've been starting to see this here lately, and I've actually started to see some other creators start to use it too as well. Because I've got one of these. This is a Govee temperature gauge. And so it works Bluetooth to your phone. And I've got one of their bigger versions of it that I have that I put out in our greenhouse to be able to keep an eye on, what the temperatures are for the greenhouse and all of our vegetables and stuff that we have when we're starting to do those in the kind of later parts of the winter and early spring. This little guy right here, though, is so small to the point where I think I'm actually going to start taking him with me, because one of the things I like to be able to do on a lot of my videos is be able to show you guys what the temperatures are. And so I've got this really small ultralight temperature gauge that I carry out that will show me what it is, at the moment, in that moment, but it doesn't do really well at giving me history and stuff. And so a lot of times, like recently I went out and I did a winter cabin trip. And I was able to tell you guys, what the temperature was in the cabin. I was able to put it outside later, let it sit there for a while, tell you the temperature outside when I went to, before I went to bed. And then, I slept late that next morning and decided not to be out. But I couldn't tell you what the lowest temperature was for the night, because by the time I gotten up, the sun had already come up and I know the temperature had gone up for the day. But all I could do was tell you what that temperature was in the moment. Whereas with this thing, it'll be able to tell me historically to my phone what the temperature has been for the whole trip, what the highest point was, what the lows was. And it's so small and lightweight that I'm really super excited about taking this out with me as well. And so very happy about this one on there. Let's see next, this little guy. I can't remember exactly what this guy's called, but it's basically just an extension. So if those of you that have seen me with my fast packing pack on, you know that it's got the straps here on the top where your shoulder straps, and you put your water bladders, will go, or your little flask will go right here in the strap. And so it's meant more like any of you that have done trail running and other things like that. It's very similar to that. And so if you've seen me with that pack on, that you'll see what it does. Well, it's really cool to have quick access to water when you're running and you're fast packing and other things for that. And so I like having the water there in my straps. But the challenge that you always have with those kind of packs, even my trail running vest, is that, I'm always having to try to, because I normally strap them into the strap, and then I'm always trying to get down to where to get to the water. And then you're squeezing on the pack and some of those other things. And so, is it the end of the world? No, but it's a little uncomfortable to be able to do. It's not as nice as being able to take a water bottle or do some of those kind of things. And so one of the cool things when I saw this on Garage Grown Gear was this is a really amazing way to be able to extend this. Now, one of the things I didn't put on my Christmas list, because I didn't realize it at the time, was I didn't tell my family that I needed to buy the adapter to be able to put on the water bottle to be able to put this thing on. So it comes with a separate adapter that you have to get. So I've got that ordered now. So that'll come in a little bit later so that I can do it. And then that'll go on the top of this, which then I can attach this to, which will then basically just make this to where it's very convenient. I can easily just drink out of it without having to put a whole lot of effort into it. So call me lazy, call me whatever, but I'm excited to be able to see what that's going to do. And it's really weighs just about nothing to be able to add on a little bit of comfort to my adventures. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's talk through a couple socks. So, of course, you always have to get, some socks or something like that for Christmas. But for me, I'm always, a true backpacker at heart, and I'm always hiking and doing other things for that. And so for my family, I always tell them that I want good quality socks. And so I actually got a package. I think there was a package of 3 or so of these. I only brought one pair of them out here to show you guys, of some merino wool socks. And then also I got another set package of like maybe 4 or 5 of some that synthetic that's got a little bit of wool and synthetic mixtures into it too as well. So these will both be some great socks to be able to add on to my collection for hiking and other things too as well. So super excited to have more socks, or at least good quality socks. Let's see. Then the next thing I've got here is my son bought me another. This will be my second Night Core. This is a 10,000 milliamp battery bank. And so one of the things that that you've heard me probably talk about on some of my videos, and so one of the regrets that I've had about going ultralight. So a couple of years ago, coming up on now, I guess maybe 3 years ago now, my son and I did the Colorado Trail. And I knew that we were going to be out for almost a month and that I was going to record a lot of that trip, and started to wanted to kind of start learning to vlog and other things too on it. And so I knew I was going to need a lot of battery bank capabilities to be able to charge my stuff. But and when I first started looking, I didn't think that the 10,000 milliamp ones was going to be enough to be able to get me through to the different points where we would going to have moments to be able to do charging stations. And so I ended up buying the 20,000 milliamp battery bank, which is still pretty lightweight for what it does and for how long it charges. And it did an amazing job for me on the Colorado Trail of being able to get me through charge points. Like I never ran out of trail except for like one time where I think we had like 6 or 7 days between points where we were going to actually see civilization. And so I actually stole my son's battery bank for just to give me one little kickoff on my phone for one day before we got to the next place, and then we charged both of our devices up. But the one regret that I had was I'm always trying to be a little careful about how I spend. You guys see that I'm always looking for sales and deals and stuff when it comes to buying gear. And so when I was looking at the battery banks, it was more expensive to buy two 10,000s than it was to buy one 20,000. And so because I was buying for the Colorado Trail and I was looking to basically get a lighter weight battery bank than what I had, for that, I ended up going with a 20,000. Well, my regret was that I did that. I always wish that I would have just spent the extra money in hindsight and bought two of the 10,000s for that, because when I got home, when I go and do a short one-nighter or even just a weekend trip, I don't need, even with filming and doing the other things, I don't need the 20,000 milliamp battery bank most times. The 10,000 is enough. And so therefore I was carrying twice the weight of what I needed to have. So for me, it wasn't too much longer within the next year after coming back from the trail that I bought one of the 10,000s for myself so that I would have for weekends. And so he's heard me talk about a lot about how I always wanted to have two. And so they got me a second one, which was super awesome. This thing only weighs, and just for some weights on for you guys, because I know you guys like that, this thing weighs around 5 ounces, I believe, for the 10,000 milliamp, whereas I want to say my 20,000 milliamp, if I remember correctly, weighs about twice that. So super excited about having that. Let's see. All right, so we'll go for a couple other things here. Let's do some of the other off stuff here. So because my kids know that I love getting out too, and the ultralight stuff, and I work in emergency management, as you guys have heard me say before, so I'm always trying to be extra careful and making sure I have multiple ways for survival and some of the other things. And so one of the things that one of my sons got me was some of these little guys here, which is basically this really super ultralight. I think this thing weighs 0.07 ounces. So I don't even know, that's hardly anything. But basically what it is it's a magnifier, and it can also be a fire starter. It's got a ruler on it, and all kinds of other things here for it. But it's so super lightweight that it'll be something that I'll end up putting in my emergency kit for backup, because one, I am getting a little older and I don't necessarily like to take my readers when I'm out backpacking. So there are times where if I'm out and I actually need to, say if when I was through hiking or other things and wanted to come off and be able to read a menu, it might be nice to know that I've got a little magnifier to be able to utilize to help me read some of those kind of things. But then it's also will be a great opportunity where I know that in a pinch, if I needed to try to make fire for survival too, that I could have something for that. And so I love knowing that I can carry this as kind of that backup emergency without there being really any weight to it. Also, he got me this little bit of fire strip roll. And so this is a full roll here, which of course you wouldn't take the whole thing out with you, but this is just another great way of having another way for in an emergency case to be able to know that you could easily start a fire. Because there's a lot of times when we're out there, and you're in those wet conditions or other conditions where it can be difficult sometimes to get a fire started. And especially if you're in an emergency situation and something's going on and you needed to really be able to make sure that you're surviving a situation. You basically just, it's strips here, and it's just this whole roll of strips where I can take a little bit of this, tear it off, and it weighs next to nothing. Like, I don't even know if this would register on the scale. It's so lightweight. But it would give me something that would easily be able to start a fire with and to be able to get something ignited. So I'm super happy to have this too, to be able to have as a backup for some fire stuff. So I can take I'll probably take off a pinch of this, maybe, a few inches or so, and put that in my first aid kit for that. So for those of you that have seen that, you see that, my first aid kit's got a lot of mixtures of survival, repair, and first aid stuff in my nice ultralight 3-ounce first aid kit. So super excited about that. All right, let's see. What else have we not gotten? Let's go next with our new pot. So I've got a new Zpacks titanium 750 pot. So funny enough, my son watches some of my videos, and he noticed that you guys were all ragging on me a bit, because recently I published out one of my videos where I talked about my cook kit, which I super love. And it does an amazing job for me when I'm out on the backpacks. But a part of that cook kit is I have the 550 milliliter pot, which has always really been enough for me. So if I was boiling some water and for my dehydrated meal, or if I wanted then, to then turn around and boil some more water for, say, a cup of coffee or some tea, I would always have to do a second cup. But I didn't mind doing that myself when I was going out there. But everybody in the comments was really all saying, everybody should have the 750, because then now I can boil enough water in one pot to be able to cover putting some water in my freeze-dried meals and still having enough for my hot tea or my coffee that I wanted. So he saw some of those comments from you guys and decided to get me the 750 milliliter Zpacks titanium pot. So super funny story, and very excited that he did that. All right, so 2 more items here that I am so super excited about. One is the Zpacks camp shoe. I just recently did a video since getting these as well. I'd been wanting to do a video comparison on whether or not you should take camp shoes backpacking, or whether or not, camp shoes are even ultralight. And these things I'd been eyeballing, and was so super happy to see that my wife decided that they would make the list, even though she thinks that I spent way too much money on something that weighs next to nothing and doesn't give a whole lot of comfort. But what she didn't understand is what I was looking for was the comfort of being able to get out of my shoes at the end of the day. And so I didn't need it to be anything big or fancy. And the fact that they're so lightweight, these things weigh, for both of them, and I have the largest pair, I think, because I have big feet. They are 2.89 ounces. This is ridiculous. Up until this point, the lightest weight camp shoe option I've had in all of my gear was somewhere around 10 or 12 ounces, I think, if I remember right. And so I have never, had anything. I think that was a pair of Tevas that I had. I've never had anything that was this lightweight. Like this, I've actually, here recently within the last year, because I've been trying to dial down some of the weight, to where I actually had stopped taking my camp shoes for a little while, which I don't know why I did that, because I do really like being able to get out of my shoes at camp. But I would just walk around in my socks or something at camp here recently. But these things are going to be amazing. And if you want to see the video where I compare out all the different types of camp shoes, you can check that one out when that one comes out. It'll probably come out here in the next few weeks or so for that one. But super excited about these. They're a little pricey. I kept going back and forth on the fence of, do I really want to spend that much money on having something this lightweight? But I'm super excited about them. I've just been wearing them around the yard here a little bit in the last day or so since getting those. And then I believe the last item I have here on the table for my Christmas. So this one I actually bought for myself about a month ago because it got into the Black Friday sales. But I bought myself the Nemo Moonlight camp chair. So as you guys have seen, I've got a video where I'm going to kind of talk a little bit more details about the camp chair stuff too as well. But I've always gone back and forth. I love having a chair at camp. Absolutely love it. And when I go car camping and some of those other things, I always carry something. And I've got some of the really cool Nemo hammock chairs and other things like that that I love being able to have a good, comfortable chair with. But when it came to backpacking, for a while, I used to carry a chair, but it was always so much more weight because I needed a high back chair to actually feel comfortable because I'm a tall, big guy. And so those little bitty ultralight ones, like the REI, I even tried that one out. I had that one for a while. I felt like I was going to crush those things. And so I never really wanted to try to spend a whole lot of money to try out all the different ones. But I'd been seeing so many good reviews about the Nemo Moonlight and about the reclining function on that and how much difference that made for taller people to actually feel comfortable in those things and how much more sturdy and stability that they put into making these things to where you wouldn't feel like you were actually crushed, or crushing the chair. And so I took the chance. As always, I waited for it to go on sale because this thing is crazy expensive. But it is, I believe it's 20 or 22 ounces. So it's not the lightest chair on the market for certain. But I tell you what, it is definitely so far the most comfortable chair I've ever had and is actually caused me to put a camp chair back into my loadout. So I told my wife whenever I bought this a month ago that that would be a part of my Christmas present from her because I just had to jump at the chance when it was on sale to get it. And so I've actually been super excited. I've been testing this thing out. It's actually gone out with me on a couple trips here lately over the last month or so. And I've been utilizing it a lot in the yard too as well. So love this thing. Super excited about having it go. I probably won't take it on my ultralight fast packing trip coming up because, as I've mentioned before, when I'm really fast packing, I do, let go of some of the luxuries and some of those comfort items. And I go a little bit more in that true fashion of ultralight when I'm actually going to be running on the trail than I do. And if I'm just out backpacking, or especially if I'm out with some friends and stuff for it. But this is definitely something that made the 2026 loadout for what I'm deeming my ultralight bougie setup, because it's not really ultralight. My ultralight nerds on the channel always give me a hard time because you'll see the video. You can check it out here. It's actually with a 12-pound base weight. So I'm a little over that 10-pound marker. So, nobody likes it if I call it the ultralight. But, to me, it's still a really lightweight loadout for a base weight. And I have quite a few other comfort items that I have in that loadout that I feel like make backpacking so much more fun, like a chair and an air pad and some of those kind of things to it. So if you're interested in checking out that video, check out that one here where you'll see my full 2026 loadout for my ultralight bougie setup that I'm looking forward to using this summer. So I hope this was, fun. Like I said, this really didn't mean to be educational other than to just show you some of the fun new gear that I got for myself. Feel free to let me know. I don't know. I mean, if those of you that celebrate Christmas or if you've had a recent birthday or something like that and you've gotten some recent gifts, what did you get recently for some of your gear that you're looking forward to using in 2026? Let me know in the comments because I read all of those comments and I love seeing all the information that you guys share with me there. And it's not only useful for me to be able to help me see, because I'm always checking out new gear that you guys recommend to me, but it's also helpful to all of the audience as, we're all always trying to decide where is the money worth spending to be able to add to our gear packages. Because as we all know, we're always buying more gear when we're out backpacking. So hopefully this was fun and hopefully this was helpful to you. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year to all of you guys. And thank you guys so much for being on the channel. And hopefully I see you guys out on the trail.